Hello children and welcome to your offline video session. So as we were talking in the previous video about Dantidurg, who was a Rashtrakoot chief and how he came to power, he overthrew his Chalukya overlord. Alright, and after that he performed a ritual which is called as the golden worm or Hiranyagarbha. Okay, so that actually Hiranyagarbha, it was performed so that it was a belief that whoever performed this ritual will be reborn as a Kshatriya. Okay, so we have our Rashtrakoot king Dantidurg here, and this pink area is the area of the Rashtrakoot dynasty. So apart from Rashtrakoot, there were also other dynasties that came up during this period. So one of these was the Kadam dynasty, and the founder of this dynasty was Mayur Sharman. Okay, now they took up a different profession altogether. So how this new kingdom was emerging? One was through war. So Dantidurg was going into a war against his overlord, and another was they are giving up their ancient profession. So who were this? Kadam. So according to a popular belief, here you see Mayur Sharman of Kadam dynasty, he went to Kanchi to pursue his Vedic studies. So Vedic studies means he was definitely a Brahmin by his caste. But why then he wanted to be a king? Or how did he become a king? He was humiliated by a Pallav guard. Okay, so Pallav was a dynasty that was in existence, and one of the Pallav guard humiliated Mayur Sharman. So in a rage, so rage means in anger, Mayur Sharman gave up his Brahmanic studies. So he gave up his traditional, studies or traditional profession, which he was like, he was a Brahmin by his profession or by his caste, and he took up sword to avenge his insult. So he basically wanted to take revenge from these Pallav. So that is why he gave up his traditional profession of Brahmanism and he took up arms, he defeated the Pallav and he became a king and established a completely new dynasty called the Kadam dynasty. All right. Similarly, there was another dynasty, the Gurjar Pratihar. So again, Gurjar Pratihar were also Brahmin by caste, but Harichandra, okay, Harichandra took up arms and established his own dynasty in Rajasthan. So this orange portion is the area where Gurjar Pratihar were ruling. Alright, so Harichandra initially his area was limited to only Rajasthan, but then with time it extended. Now they all have established small kingdoms of their own, but how these kingdoms were administered. Okay, so to administer a kingdom, a country, what are the important things do you think? Okay, people are important. That is the people who become ministers. All right. Then what else is important? Taxation, right? Tax is very important. So without money, how will you rule a particular kingdom? Now see, first you see these new kings. So all the new kings who are emerging, they were adopting high titles, high sounding titles like Maharaja Dhiraj. It means the great king, king of king. All right. Then also Tribhuvan Chakravartin. You see both the titles in red color. So Tribhuvan means three world, and Chakravarti means Lord. So Tribhuvan Chakravarti means Lord of three worlds. Okay. But the funny thing is, despite these high sounding titles, they had to share power. They had to share power with other people. Who were these other people now? Samant, okay, association of peasants, traders, and Brahmins. All right. So they claim that they are the Maharaja Dhiraj, they are king of the kings, but even then they are sharing powers. And what else? Resources. Now, to rule any kingdom, resources are very important. That is money or products. So where from these resources being obtained? So resources were obtained in the form of rent from the peasants, the cattle keeper, the artisans, and the traders. So this rent means nothing but taxes. So even now also we pay tax to our government of India so that they have the money. All right. Now, why tax is important? Why revenue was collected? Okay, revenue means nothing but tax. So why is it important? Revenue was collected to finance king's establishment. Okay, so king's establishment means to finance the activities in the kingdom, whatever was happening in the kingdom, whatever was established in the kingdoms, for that. Second, construction of temples and forts. So you see here is one of the temple and one of the fort of the Cholas. So we will come to Cholas. So for construction of these temples, tax is very important. Otherwise, how will the king find money to build temple and these forts and everything? So tax was collected. Okay. Now, children, you have to understand that how these kings are so rich, because they collect tax from their people, okay, the common people in the kingdom. Also, they needed tax, or they needed money to fight war. So obviously, for the expense of army or whatever the military troop king had, they needed money. Okay. So why would they fight war? They would simply fight war to acquire, new land, to acquire new land, to conquer new trade routes. So trade routes are very important because trade is the main source of money in any kingdom. So this is one trade route of the Cholas in red color. See, Chola influence or Chola trading was so vast. Like they traded with the Southeast Asian countries. And also here, like we almost have, Japan in this end. So they were trading in such a far distant land. So as we have studied why revenue was collected, now we will study who collected revenues. So this tax collection or the collection of revenue were assigned to people from influential families. So whoever is rich, whoever is noble, they were assigned this task of collecting revenues, and their position was hereditary. Okay. Now what is hereditary? Yes, hereditary is where a position is one person obtains his position from his father. Okay. So what was the rank of my father is now my rank, and my rank will go down to my son. So hereditary is like a family thing. All right. It passes from one generation to another generation in a family. So this position, these influential position were hereditary. And also, apart from these influential families, the close relative of the kings, they also collected these tax. Okay, they were also in charge of collection of tax. Now in this box, you see this yellow box, sorry, orange box maybe, there is mention of 400 tax. There is the title is 400 tax. So this box tells us about the taxation system during the Cholas. Okay, so as you know that Chola kings were one of the richest in India. Why? Because they had taxation or they charged tax on so many different things. So we came across in a Chola inscription that there were 400 terms for different kind of taxes. In fact, more than, here you see more than 400 terms. So imagine in a state or in a kingdom, people were paying almost more than 400 types of taxes. So some important are Veti. So what is Veti? It is a tax which was not paid in money. So Veti is a tax that you have to pay as a form of labor. So you have to work for the king. You have to work for the state. So that is one tax. Then Kadamai. So Kadamai is another form of tax which is land revenue. So whoever has land, that is the farmers, the peasants, those who have land or those who have land for even other purposes for building house, building shop, they had to give Kadamai or land revenue. Then there were also tax on thatching the house. Okay. Then there was tax to use of ladder. So even if you are using a ladder, you have to pay tax. Imagine. And also there was tax on succession to family property. It means that if I want to claim the property of my father, I have to pay a tax to the government. Imagine. So there were so many different types of taxes. Okay, and who collected these taxes? The influential families and close relatives of the king. And why these taxes were collected? To finance king's establishment, to finance king's kingdom, to construct temples, to fight wars. All right. So these are the certain way in which our king or these new kings, the newly emerged kings, they were controlling their administration. Okay. So this is how they were ruling. So I hope this chapter is very, very clear till here. Thank you so much, children, for your cooperation.